Hey, welcome everybody
Hey.
to the breakthrough interview series. I have on the infamous Jacqueline.
Oh, get out of here.
And before we actually get started, I'm Meg Church. I'm a relationship coach with yourself and with your partner. And basically, my niche is self-sabotage. So that's why I'm having on people that I love and admire on here to talk about some of their struggles that they've been through and why that really helps fuel their passion now. I think there's a big misconception between people who coach and people that are doing amazing things in this world that we just have had it handed to us, and that we've never gone through anything, and that's completely the opposite thing. So we want to really try to dive in and get through that misconception. And so today, Jacqueline's going to start talking to you about her battles and what she's doing today. So, Jacqueline, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. Actually, super thank you for having me on, because I think that through our vulnerabilities is how we connect with people. And I think that there is not enough people interviewing other people through their process to help other people have faith and hope in the process that they're going through. So thank you for being consistent with something like this and reaching out to different people, because I think it matters. It matters. A lot of people want to give up when it gets real hard.
Yes.
And so we just need somebody to show us the light of hope that they went through it too. So I appreciate that. I'm Jacqueline Sabatka. I am a lifestyle. First, I want to say I'm a mom. I have a soft spot for moms. So I have to lead with that. I'm a mom to a beautiful 6-year-old wild child. I'm a wife, and I love Jesus. And then I'm a business owner. So my business, like I said, is called Lady Leader Lifestyle. And what we do is we coach and consult women based off of where they're at now and where they want to be when it comes to their heart, comes to their head, and it comes to their lifestyle, their nutrition, their fitness, their stress management. We take all this information in to find your lifestyle that lasts. And it's a pretty delicate process for some people. But to me, I find the most meaning in tackling lifestyle from this perspective, because, and that's kind of how I tell people, because they're like, so you're a nutrition coach, or you're a workout coach, or you're a personal trainer, or you're a diet coach. And it's not that simple, man. It's not that simple. If I want you to have something that lasts for life, I can't just be a diet consultant. I can't be a trainer consultant. I have to be a full holistic approach lifestyle coach. And so I know that's a bit complicated to explain, but that's what felt like I needed to say in my heart. So that's what I do.
Because if not, when people say something, it's like they want to put you in a box, and you're like, no, but I do this, and no, that's not the way I do it. Like, this is different.
Yeah. And right now I'm currently going through a functional medicine and health coaching program. And so a lot of people over the years have been like, what certifications do I need? What schooling do I need? Because I'm actually a respiratory therapist by trade. That's what I went to college for. And I would constantly look for these certifications for personal training, for nutrition, for hormones, and blah, blah, blah. And nothing like rang true to my heart. Like, yeah, I can get this piece of paper, but I can get this piece of paper and be a personal trainer at a gym and be worthless. Yep. I can just remember stuff on a piece of paper, take the test. I needed something that was like, this is it. This is what it means to me to be a coach. And going into this is the first program I've ever seen. It's brand new. It's through the Institute of Functional Medicine. So they are doctors that treat from the root cause. So if it's your heart, if it's your head, if it's your gut, that's where we start first, and we start peeling back the layers. And as we're doing that, we're like getting you comfortable with this new way of living. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I encourage people to go through this program. It's one of the only programs you can go through to take your health coaching boards exam, which is the highest credential a health coach can get. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No, and when you're excited, So, okay. Well, I thought this might be fun. So before we actually go into your battles. I was like, we should talk
Talk
about
about our story.
how we met. So when I first had the first iteration of business was at a marketing thing for Mango Fuel. And I was like doing free samples of something for nutrition coaching.
Nope. They were protein bites. They were little chocolate oatmeal protein bites. I remember they were so good.
And Jacqueline was doing stuff through Optimum Nutrition at the vitamin shop. So we connected. She connected me with her husband, Brandon, who's been on the interview too. And you guys are going to both be on in the future.
Yay. Oh, I think entrepreneurial spouses, like we should be interviewing you guys, is another necessary topic.
Yes. But so we met there, and then we've been connected ever since. Like, I don't know. So it's like, don't ever discount where you can meet people and who your connections and friendships and all that kind of stuff can be. But anyway, Jacqueline has battled a lot of things, which is why it sounds weird, but like you've overcome battles to get to where you are. Yeah, and that's part of why you're so passionate about helping women, essentially in the same way I say, like, get out of their own way with their bodies, with their metabolism, with their health struggles, and with eating disorders. Yep. So go into some of your struggles and things that you overcome.
Yeah, this could be like an entire episode in itself, but I'm not one of those people to like put all my energy into my struggles. But like, I definitely think, because a lot of people are like, I don't know what I want to do for a living. I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know my purpose. And I tell them there's only two ways to find it. It's what you're curious about, and you keep going down that curiosity train until you figure it out where you feel it in your whole soul, or you find it through your pain. You find your purpose through your pain, and the process of overcoming that pain becomes your mission in life to help people get through their process faster, more efficient, less heartache, you know? And so I would say that my journey started when, and this is why I'm so passionate about moms, because it doesn't start with me. It starts with you, and it starts with how you talk around your kids, how you act around your kids, how you treat yourself around your kids. And so when I was growing up, my mom and dad had 3 kids by 18. So they were kids kind of having kids, and they did the best with what they had. But man, my mom was one of those like yo-yo dieters, like blah, 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 like I'm always fat, blah, blah, blah. And never realized the impact of what it had on me psychologically as a child, seeing my mom as perfect and seeing her as like the ultimate human that I think is no wrong, saying how wrong she is. And because I'm a piece of her, then that's how wrong I am. And it gets stuck in my brain in an instinctual type of pattern that I don't know how to get out of. And that I see who I am is the problems. Who I am is fat. Who I am is an eating disorder. You literally wake up and think that's who you are. And so from childhood until my 8th grade year, my parents got a divorce, and it was just a real nasty kind of divorce. And that fueled that fire, that instinct of me not being worthy, me not being perfect, me being fat. And the only thing I could control, because I couldn't control my mom, I couldn't control my dad, I couldn't control my life situation, it was that I could control food, and I could control exercise, and I can control the way that I look. And so I never wanted to be home, and I always was running, and I was doing cardio, and I was always doing these things. And I got my attention through I think I was like 104 pounds and 5'5". Right now I'm sitting at 160 and loving it all. Like, so it's crazy to think like where you were to where you are now. And so long story short, trickled into that. And then I met a bodybuilder, and I thought, that's it. I need to do a bodybuilding competition. That's it. And you know what? I was that person that would look at Nicole Richie and would have thinspiration all over my walls with these super anorexic girls, because that's all I wanted to be. Was I just had to be as thin as them and have my thinspiration journal and blah, blah, blah. Bodybuilding was the illusion I could have my eating disorder. Like, I didn't want to be on the binge side. I wanted to be on the restrictive side, because that's the good side. That's the I'm having a good day side. It was the mask I could wear, and people applauded the mask. People applauded this self-destruction mindset. Yeah, and they loved it. And you're like, oh, your body and and your discipline, your dedication. And it was like celebrated that I had this massive dedication to bodybuilding when I had this massive dedication to my childhood thought that I'm not perfect, I'm not good enough, I'm not blah, blah, blah. And so I let my fiance, my ex-boyfriend that was my fiance, coach me. I did really well, got my pro card, which really fueled that fire. Like, oh, I'm doing a good job at this eating disorder thing. I'm doing a great job. Like, and I can keep doing it. I'm getting pro cards and I'm getting sponsorships, and like, it's inflating this ed head of what we call it, eating disorder head mindset, that it's okay. And it was not. And so what happened is I competed. I ended up getting like 4th in the world. And then there was no competition for a while. And my boyfriend at the time didn't do a lot of reverse show stuff. And I went off the deep end, like you can relate. I mean, I was so bad that, and this was not like the day after my show. This was like weeks, maybe I think 2 months after my show. I couldn't stop. All I thought about was food, from when I woke up to when I went to bed to when I woke up in the middle of the night, like food. Nothing satisfied me. I'd go to the gas station, then I'd go to the grocery store, and then I'd go and I'd hide myself in my room. And then it was one time, like, this is the most, like, I literally, like, I called off work because I had ate so much that I was burping up rotten eggs, and that I had gained 17 pounds in one day. 17 pounds in one day of eating, and it was not right after my show.
Can you tell? Because I think that sometimes people think that a binge and emotional eating are the thing, and they're not. Like, binge eating is almost like, I always kind of explain it as almost like the Tasmanian devil, like, goes through and you don't even realize it, and then all of a sudden all the wrappers are around you, or everything's empty, and you're like, what just happened? So
it's weird
what that was like.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and here's the thing, so I think binge and overeating or emotional eating, I think they are different things. But when somebody comes to me and they say they have maybe a binge eating disorder type of thing, I validate their feelings, because I think a binge eating disorder starts here. It's your mindset. What do you feel when you eat this food? What do you feel when, like, if the food gives you euphoria, like takes you out of your life for like however long you're eating, and then takes you into like devastation, destruction, hide out, like call off work, it literally changes who you think you are. That's more on the binge eating, in my opinion. But I will always validate their feelings, because guilt, shame, resentment, remorse, all those things are very, very important. And that there's a scale. You know what I mean? There's a scale when you feel like you have no control. None. Like, literally, you are fighting it's almost like an alcoholic or a crack addict or something. Like, you're fighting yourself from going to the store to get the Reese's, to get the ice cream, to get the chips, to get all these things that you like. You're fighting it and you're fighting it and you're fighting it. And then eventually you like give in, and that giving in feeling is so euphoric that it's like, I mean, to a guy, it might be having like intimate time. And you know what I mean? Or to a female, it might, like, it is, I can't even explain how invigorating that feeling is. And you're addicted to that feeling and you don't know how to stop. And so, and people that don't ever have the eating disorder really can't understand it. It's like having a kid. You can't understand a mom, if you've never had a kid yourself. Like, you can't understand what it's like to have an eating disorder, because Brandon doesn't believe in eating disorders. He doesn't believe in addiction. He does. And so that could be another episode in itself.
Okay, so I asked this to someone. I'm trying to think who it was now, and I can't even think on here, but they were like, what? So you talked about shame being a big piece of like the whole binging cycle. And I know that was one that I just felt like so disconnected from the world, because I felt like,
yours was in a car, right? You had a moment in the car.
So imagine yourself, think about like right now on the worst binge you ever had. Maybe it was the one that you were just talking about. Imagine you being recorded live. Like, imagine finding out that you were recorded live during that episode and everybody was watching you.
Well, I was.
You were?
It was the most. So I hadn't even got to that point yet, I guess, because after I fell off the bandwagon from I had this massive binge that I gained 17 pounds. I saw an episode on Dr. Phil about an eating disorder. And I had, don't get me wrong, I went to several therapists trying to find, I just needed somebody to talk to. I didn't know how to get out of my own way. I didn't know how to get out of my own head. Nobody teaches you that you can go to specialized therapists. Like, I didn't know that. Even at 25 years old, I didn't know that there was like an eating disorder therapist that had like grieving, like different whatnot. So every single one, first meeting, you need Prozac. You have a chemical imbalance. Mother sucker, I am not chemical imbalance in my brain. I might, but I just need somebody to talk to. I've had a rough life and I need to just free myself so I can let stuff go and get on my way. And so I completely lost it. And I emailed Dr. Phil on that. It was an eating disorder tab. And I was just like, I am lost and I don't know how to get help. And I don't want to take medicine. Like, can you help me like find somebody? And like that next week, he asked me to be on the show. And so what you were just talking about, I had never, so one of the ways to break your own cycle is radical change. So in the minute of you feeling like, man, I'm going to do this binge, you tell your spouse, hey, I'm about to eat this entire loaf of bread of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to have that. We need to get out of the house. So that was one thing that I've done before. But when Dr. Phil came into my life, he flipped it upside down, because I had never, what you just talked about, got caught in the moment when you are feeding your face. He ripped apart every vulnerable piece of me, because so I was scared to go on the show. Nobody knew about my eating disorder. I was a professional athlete, blah, blah, blah. But I knew that like, I can't let go of this opportunity of somebody that knows more specialized people to help me than I do. Like, he knows how to give me the help. And at the time, the boyfriend that I had was not happy about it. And so we were getting ready to fly out on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Dr. Phil and their cast came to that house on Sunday. Unexpected. Nobody knew they were coming. They went in my bed. They went under my bed. They found every stash. They went in my car. My car was like the worst place for somebody to go. So they didn't catch me in the act, but they caught me in the act. Right. They caught me in the consequences. I mean, I'm really like shaky just even thinking about it. They had me get on the scale in front of them. They had all the potential triggers that I could have had. Like, they showed up and shocked the crap out of me. But I think that's part of the show, is to break you down, break you completely down. I mean, that's the worst thing for a person with an eating disorder, is to be exposed like that. And so, although it was the hardest thing for me, it was the best thing for me. And then he sent me to rehab for 8 weeks. And then I came back and vowed to coach one. They told me I'd never compete again because it gave me heart problems. But I said, I'm going to come back. I'm going to compete. I'm going to do it the healthiest way I can do it. And I'm going to not be crazy around food. And I'm going to teach other people how to do the same, whether they're bodybuilding or whether they're lifestyle. That is my main goal, is to teach people to not be crazy around food. And so there we go. That's it. So I got caught in the moment. No, it was hard.
So one of the things that you talked about that like I teach on is like, you have to break up with the bully. And basically, a lot of times we think that the bully is outside of us. We think maybe we were bullied in high school or elementary school, or our parents or something. And in all reality, that could very much have happened. However, what truly happens 99.9% of the time is we are bullying ourselves by not only picking ourselves apart, but also allowing those things to go through our head on repeat, like a recording. And we're allowing ourselves to be bullied to death in some aspects, because when you are binging, it's essentially killing yourself over and over and over again. If you let it get to that point, because I definitely had I had a friend that, basically went through that. So how, beyond Dr. Phil, how did you break up with the bully? How did you realize, like, you know what, something's got to change?
And that's a great point. And sometimes I think people just don't, they know that they have the bully, but they don't know how to put it to words, kind of thing. Like an example of that, I didn't know what boundaries were until somebody explained boundaries. Like, I literally didn't know when I was in treatment at 25, what do you mean boundaries? Is that a joke? I never heard the word. I had never been explained, because we don't learn this stuff in school, really, like interpersonal relationship skills as well, like kind of what you teach, relationships with yourself and with others. And so when I went to treatment, it was the opportunity to crack open my brain to see myself from almost like the outside looking in. And I used journaling to literally like mind dump everything, because all you could do at treatment, literally, it was, you couldn't see yourself in the mirror. You got watched when you went to the bathroom. You had your hands on the table the whole time. You got patted down after meals. Like, it was legit rehab. But there's several things that I've done to break up with the bully, but one that was very powerful was I'd go back and read as I'm evolving through this process of self-growth and reading these self-help books, which is night and day. If you don't like grow and you're not reading books, you're done. Like, I'm not, like, I wasn't told to read. I think I read one book from cover to cover all the way through high school, and it was Freaky Friday. So like, what kind of joke is that? I didn't realize how much you need to read in order to learn and grow. And it gave me purpose and it gave me meaning. But it was rereading through those journal articles as I was growing, and I was devastated. I was like, that is me. That's how I talk to myself. That's how insecure I was. That's how lost I was. And I broke up with the bully when I learned how to find my unapologetic self, when I learned how to let go of who I was for everybody else, every boyfriend I had, everybody that wanted something from me, expectations of me. When I learned how to let it all go and learn that who I was enough, I was able to break up with the bully, because I was too focused on growing. I was too focused on learning myself. And I feel bad for Brandon, because it almost went to the extreme. Like, I was the girlfriend that always wanted to do everything for their person and make everybody happy. And that was my survival technique when I was a kid, going through my childhood. And so when I met Brandon, it was like, I'm going to do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. And you're just going to have to roll with it. And I expect you to do the same. So it's been a really great thing for us. But yeah, I know that's a long story, but journaling and rereading my journals, because that's where you see that radical change within yourself. And then
I think that is, again, something that's overlooked a lot of times. I think, like, for example, I'm in the process of major moving right now. And when you think about things that you want to keep, or things that you're like, whatever, I just don't want clutter, I want to get rid of stuff. Out of anything in my house, that's the thing I can't get rid of, because it shows, like, literally, it's like 10 plus years of all this growth. And to be able to go back and like have your kids go back and look at what you struggled with.
I don't even know if I would want, or that would be.
But you know what I mean? I think, or like family members and stuff, and just being able to use some of that and be like, wow, like on days where you feel like overwhelmed, or like what you're doing may not matter, or whatever, you read some of that stuff and you're like, if I did this for me, I know I'm doing this for these people too.
Another thing that's powerful about them, especially for people that are trying to find their purpose and their mission in life, is by rereading through those, you are able to have more of an empathetic ear, because I think as we grow, we start to attach ourselves to the new us. And sometimes it's kind of easy to forget the old us. I mean, because when I read some of those, it's like, what? Like, whoa. And if you really want to get in touch with the people that you help, you're going to have to go back and read some of those things to realize where they're actually at, like in that, from your heart, you know? And so for that, I think you can find more ways, more benefits to your journaling other than yourself. It's to relate to the people you help. And you nailed it when you said, well, what about your daughter reading it? Well, what if my daughter had an eating disorder? What if she did? And she sees who I am today. And she sees that, you know, mommy's this like badass, strong woman, blah, blah, blah. If she were to read back of who I was and where it took to get to where I am now, I think that would have more of an impact and more power, because what I just told you when we first started is you just have to give them hope and show them that there is a possibility of being on the other side, because before treatment, I didn't know anybody that ever went through an eating disorder that was on the other side. Not one.
In that power, like, I feel like, you know, at least for me, for 10 years ago, I couldn't find anyone that was going through what I was going and being open and honest and putting stuff. So when you know your moment, like for me, it was a book. I read a book and I was just like, I remember thinking I could never be this vulnerable and talk about a binge. I could never. And now it's crazy that we both do that. Like it's like now, because you want people to see, like, this is where I started from. It was rough, but you just got to keep going, and you got to keep trusting, you got to keep believing that there is something inside you that's going to push you to the other side. Like, we're here for you. Like, you don't have to do it by yourself. And it's beyond powerful to give someone hope and to make them see it's not like an overnight success. Like, you struggled with it for like a decade too, right? Plus.
Yeah, actually, since my mom said she remembers when I was like 6 or 8, trying to pinch myself and trying to make my meals differently. So it really was in my mind that that's who I was, because our personality is from 0 to 7.
Yep.
And she said, I don't remember that. But you're going to imitate the people that you're, you see as your like, pride and joy, your role models. That was another thing. I didn't know. I'd never heard role like or a mentor. Like I didn't know what a mentor was until I was well out of college. Like I didn't. Well, in a way, like I didn't know that you could have one. Like, what do you mean? Like people would ask me who my mentor was, and I didn't know who to say, because I never had anybody that did the things that I wanted to do, that wanted to invest the time in me. I just thought that was a parent. Like, so that's been a powerful thing for me as well. But what you said about the book, looking back, when I knew I was about to go to treatment and when I got out of treatment, it was books that therapy. I went to therapy for an entire year. Every 2 weeks, I signed up before I left. Like, I would never miss a therapy session for an entire year, but it was books that allowed me to open up my mind and get out of my own way and see things from other people's perspective that goes, wow, that's me. Or like, it's almost like your friends you don't have.
Yep.
And so
like, I'm hanging out with these people. These are my people. Like, these are my friends.
Like, how do you not know them? Like, we're like BFFs. We're like the same person. So
who, I mean, I know like who you are now, and you kind of talked about it a little bit, but who have you become and who are you becoming? Which is sometimes a hard question to answer.
It's a really hard question, because I am very big on flowing. Like, I feel like who I'm going to become is who God chooses me to be. And I just keep trying to I try to do my maintenance of self-growth, keeping my body healthy, my mind healthy, my stress management, so that I have the clarity to see the signs that God wants me to be. That's the reason why I do it. Like, people they put food on a pedestal, they put exercise on a pedestal. Like, I'm at a point in my life that I literally just have to do those as a baseline in order to have the clarity to see the signs and to flow in the right direction and to the right energies, and to have enough energy to be like a good role model for my daughter. It's not about my body. It's not about my weight. It's not about, I mean, of course, like, everybody wants to be a little bit tighter and fitter, but literally, like, who I am today that's my baseline of life, with no emotional attachment towards it. Whereas before, that was my life, because I didn't know who I was. So I had to attach myself to something in order to feel like I was worth living back then. Like, I didn't know who I was. Like, who I was and who my emotional status was based off of whoever I was with. And so on the who I want to be is a good person. I just want to be a good person.
I feel like a good person.
I just want to be a good person, because I feel like if you're a good person, you're going to make the right decisions, and the right decisions will keep you carrying to where you're supposed to be. That might be a very like whatever answer. And what I would say,
integrity.
Yeah.
Who you are and being kind.
Yeah. And who I was then to who I am now, as I would say, I was very lost and now I'm found and evolving. Like, just to keep it simple, because I think everybody knows what it feels like to be lost. I don't know if anybody, I mean, I would love to meet somebody that felt like they were never lost in their life, but I think feeling lost gives us a lot of meaning to when we start to find, like, it's little things. It's like, okay, it makes sense. It all connects. It clicks together. It flows. And so my wish for everybody is to get to that point. And the only way they're going to get to that point is reading, is learning, is growing, and to have people around them that support that, like you and your partner, until you found somebody like him that allowed you to, I mean, I'm sure who you were even before you met him has evolved, right?
Well,
Because
we always joke, like, we met in 2006, and to go back and think about who I was in 2006, who he was in 2006,
right?
And then, to come back together so many years later and just to see your own growth and see the things that you had to work on because you were a hot mess, and, like, just all those things. Like, it doesn't mean you were less of a person. It just, I was lost. And so I think when you do find yourself and you find all the things that make you come alive, the confidence.
That's what it comes to. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to share that with someone else, because it creates such a personal freedom. I feel like that, I don't know, I just feel like being able to share that space with someone else that respects that process for you. Like, Brandon doesn't tell me who I need to be, or like tries to quiet my flame. If anything, he tries to ignite it, even if it annoys the shit out of him, because I'm real goofy, like really goofy, and he can't stand it sometimes. But he doesn't dim my flame. He lets me soar, I guess. We even have it on I don't have my wedding band on now, but it says wild and free, because we don't want somebody to tame us. We want somebody to run wild and free with us. And I love that you found that with I'm about to say your husband. Close. Close. Yeah. I have a challenge for you, though. I think this would be an interesting challenge for us both, since we've been talking about it, is going back through a journal entry and having something like that we share.
We should.
Yep. And it can't be some, that was kind of bad, or like just a good one that would be meaningful to you, that surprised people, that where you were then versus now. Because I think your following knows you now, and you can feel confident in that. They could see that big change. Like, that's not who you are now. But I bet you it would definitely connect.
I feel like I got to go back and look and be like, okay, did I actually, like, journal about when it was really rough, or did I try to hide that because I didn't want to look at it? Because, that happens when you're struggling with stuff too.
That's when you stop journaling.
Tomorrow. Well, like, I found, when I was looking through stuff, I found a bunch of, like, food journals and all this stuff. Like, I'm not saying that you can't do that, but, like, for me, I would, that's a starting place for some people, but I would never do that now. But but what's the point when you're binging and not writing some of the stuff down too? You're like, we'll start tomorrow.
Yep. I have a lot because of treatment. So that surprised me that that's all we could do is journal. So I'll have to pull some out and see.
I want to see some.
It just hurts my heart sometimes when I see it. But I think, like I said, it just brings you closer to the people that you work with, at where they're sitting with them, with where they're at now. But I'll have to pull them out.
I think that this would be like a topic we could talk about when I have you and Brandon on. But we can at least, like, touch on it. I think even beyond that was, like, beyond, like, the food stuff and the stuff that I was doing to myself, what I allowed to have happen in my relationship life while I was in those places. Sometimes I look back, I think those are the things that made me the most emotional when I was cleaning things out and, like, looking at stuff. Not to say I had all terrible relationship the whole time. That wasn't the case. But I know you can relate to that too. And you look back and be like, I would never.
I don't know if you have a moment right now that you're thinking of, but there's certain ones that I'm like, no way. Like, a guy tried to break up with me because he said I was dumb. Like he thought I was a dumb human. And I begged for him, like, no, I'm not dumb. I promise you I'm not. What? Bitch, don't argue with someone that thinks you're dumb, that you're not dumb. Like they're dumb. Like, stop it. Like you can't, I mean, so yeah, I think that would be some funny stories to look back and be like, but it's funny to us now. But if somebody's listening,
Yeah.
it could be with where they're at now. And don't discredit, because that was a very hard time in my life. And I tell everybody every time, I was like, just wait. When you get to that other side, it's such a beautiful place, such a beautiful place. And I got a long ways to go. So I don't want to like make somebody feel bad if they're like, oh man, somebody just told me I'm dumb and I beg for them back. Your feelings are always valid, but it's amazing to be able to look back and be like, no, no, not happening.
Well, sometimes I think back to, like, I see patterns with, I don't know if you felt like this too, but I see patterns with my relationships. I see patterns with eating disorder and body dysmorphia and all the body stuff. And with business, I've seen like this whole like self-sabotage cycle, allowing all deals with your self-worth. And I feel like if you're trying to find your worth in other people or in business or your partner or whatever, you're never going to feel satisfied. Like you really have to, it really has to come deep inside you. And it's something you have to fight for, because the world's trying to teach you that that's, you know, you got to be more, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. And so when I look back and I can see patterns with stuff, when I see it as God putting me through a boot camp, that's what I always think of. Like, you know how like you go through a boot camp and like we're coaching and you're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I feel like, I'm gonna die. And God's like, just one more rep. And even when you keep showing up, even if it's getting out of bed in the morning, I always tell people like, don't discredit that either, because when you've been in that place, that's a victory. And you don't realize while you're in it what that boot camp is going to build in you. That resiliency, that love, that empathy that you're going to have in the future. Like the feeling of pride because you overcame that is like, you can't pay for that.
It's amazing. And the thing is like, I think more people need to like embrace fear and pain, because you know that it means something. Like I see pain and I see fear. So right now, like a lot of people see that I do these photo shoots and stuff. A lot of times it's because I've been presented something and it put fear in my heart. And I was like, oh, that means I need to do it. I might not even like the experience, and I be like, okay, that's not part of who I am right now. So we're going to not do that one again. But I don't know unless I try. And so I look at fear as almost the opportunity to really figure out who I am. I think too many people try to control themselves, control their partner. That's what leads to like a midlife crisis or cheating or divorce or whatever have you, is because of fear and not faith. If you lead with faith, then you see fear as an opportunity, in my opinion. And so I wish more people would do that. It's hard to embrace it though. Like there's some amount of pain that you just can't explain, but you have to know that it's gonna bring you through to a better place. And one way I tell people, because they're just like, I just don't know how to get out of the cycle or blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't know either. I didn't have a mentor. I had a lot of books. But what I use, and I still use it to this day, is what would Ariana do? What would I want Ariana to do? That's my daughter. Or what would I want my mom to do? Or what would I want anybody that really resonates with your heart, that means the most to you? What would you want for them? And then you make that decision for yourself, because you're no less worthy than they are. And I still use that all the time. If I'm in any kind of struggle, if I like lately, I don't want to go to the gym. What would I want Ariana to do? And it's not for weight loss. It's to keep up with my life. I can't that's my stress management. And so hopefully people can take that and use that as a tool in their toolkit to push them through the pain or get them through the process.
So what do you want to leave them with, or how can they connect with you?
Great question. And I was thinking about this because I was like, man, what would because I feel like we've said a lot of powerful things in this. Is this considered a podcast or a live?
For sure.
Something, yeah, this interview. And so I would love to just leave it with something simple with, if you get your mind right, the body will follow. And that means with the self-help books, that means with, doing grounding outside with your shoes off, you put your feet in the grass. It's taking walks. It's, if you focus more on your mind, your body will follow, and the rest of your life seems to be much happier. And a lot of that comes down to, I think a lot of people are kind of ashamed to feel at 30, at 40, at 50, I don't know who I am. There's no shame in that. The shame is you not putting forth the effort to figure out who you are before you die, because that would be very sad. And so you get in your mind right, the body follows, and through that process, find who the unapologetic you is, and know that the people around you may cause resistance because they're not used to that. Like me telling Brandon, I'm going to kind of go and do what I want. I respect you and I'm going to always keep you in mind, but that's very hard for the people around you to, just like a weight loss. If you're with a spouse and your spouse is still unhealthy and you're on this weight loss journey, there's going to be some, until you prove to yourself and prove to them that you're on this journey and you're going to stay on this journey no matter what. And then they have to kind of respect that journey and see how they can work with that journey because they love you. So the best thing you can do for yourself and anybody else is find out who you are. And it'll be an amazing journey. It'll be an amazing process. It'll be super freeing. So those would be the two things: is the mind right, body follow, find who you are, and read a lot of books.
Oh, well, Jacqueline is known as the coach who cares because she truly does care.
Oh, I didn't even say how you get a hold of me, but go ahead, keep going.
Well, I would help you.
Oh, yeah.
So you can we'll have her tagged below and you can reach out. She truly is, I think I saw you say this one time, like, this is true, metabolism whisperer. And so she could definitely help.
Metabolism mentor.
You what?
I had metabolism mentor.
Metabolism
mentor. But really the coach who cares, because somebody asked me, I get a lot of times, because I'll mentor coaches as well. Like, how do you be a good coach? Like, how you as your coaching, me as my coaching, Brandon as his coaching, it comes down, excuse me, to being a coach who cares. If a coach who cares doesn't know the answer, they'll find the answer. A coach who cares will make sure you're taken care of. A coach who cares will be honest with you, will have integrity. So at the end of the day, just give a shit. Just give a shit. You know what I mean? And if somebody wants to get a hold of me, they can email me, reach me on Instagram. I have my website, JacquelineSabatka.com. And we can set up a free consultation, see where you're at, see if I can help you before 2021 get to where you want to be. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's only like 5-6 weeks, right?
Thanksgiving is crazy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And right now I'm running a little promo with I created a 5-day-a-week workout split. It's really focused on like tighter core and bigger, rounder glutes. I like that curvy shape, and it's for me, but I am extending the offer to other people if they want to do the workouts with me and come into our private Lady Leader Facebook page. They can message me about that. And we have people on the Lady Leader page that have modified it to a home style workout. So if that is something you're interested in, let me know and we'll hook you up. And I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me.
Absolutely. Guys, this is Jacqueline. Like, she seriously is who she is on here. Like,
I don't know how to fake it.
No filter, no whatever. So like, if you need a little bit of help in this area, let her lead you, or at least have a conversation. I think that that's one of the big things. One of the first big steps, they teach you in any type of 12-step thing is I got a problem. That's step number one. And then how can you find a solution? And so I'm trying to have people on here that have solutions for different things, and then trying to have fits, because not everybody works well together. Everybody, you have your tribe of people that love stories.
We can use you and I as an example, because we come from a similar background, and I think you're more intuitive eating and listening to your body and how food fuels you in different ways, and like taking down that relationship with food. And I think my approach is a little bit more data driven, where we're learning what carbs are, what fats are, what proteins are, how we can, like, what it looks like in your day to have a certain macro ratio. Whereas like, I think you kind of pull back from that. Is that right? Yeah, so I'm just trying to show people how we have differences.
Yeah, I don't even touch the food aspect until people go through like me restoring their self-worth, because like the first 6 weeks, I know that for my people and for me, no matter what I teach you about food, it's not going to stick until you love who you are right now. Like you have to love it, even if we got to fake it till we make it for a little bit, to get you just to love that you have lungs and that you have a heart and that you have skin on your body, and then build off of there. And then I start teaching a little bit about the food. But yeah, I'm definitely intuitive, anything, none of that.
Question though, and I'm just doing this because I think it's a great, like us kind of going off of each other a bit, because I think people don't realize, like, you in a way are somewhat of a lifestyle coach as well. You do relationship with yourself and others, but there's other branches to that to help keep your mind clear. So do you feel like if someone's going through some program and they're not getting in enough of the stuff to help their brain be clear enough to be open to your process? Because I'm sure you've had clients where they're either like kind of falling off. Like, it's not, as a coach, it's not easy to like get your all-star person and they're always messaging back and forth and you don't have to really reach out. Do you feel like are there some people you would try to clean that up so that maybe, because we both know food affects so much with your mood and all these, so like it might make the process easier. So do you ever sometimes, like, here's a few things like we're going to try to get more of as you're going through this process to clear up your mind? I'm just curious, because this is an opportunity for people
I think one of the biggest things in that realm is consistency. It's not about what can you do 2 times and then fall off. It's about what can you do, what can you manage, what can you have prepped ahead, and not to say prep has to take 1,000 hours, because I'm not about that life either. What can you do to set yourself up for success based off of your lifestyle? Because who coach with 5,000 kids versus single mom versus someone that's going through a divorce? The relationship with that, like, where's the repair work at? Is it food or is it your self-worth? And usually it's self-worth first.
So technically somebody could work with you and work with someone that does more of the workout and nutrition at the same time. So that's kind of what I was getting at, because
that's not my thing. Like my background's in it, but it's not like what sets my soul on fire anymore. It is. For me, I'm like, all right, let's rekindle with yourself and with your body, and then that's going to take over to your relationship with your partner or your future partner and all of that.
100%. I totally believe that. And I love that, because I think my ultimate goal is teaching intuitive by taking them, like, we start with data. So they just have an idea. It's amazing how much people just don't, like, lack of awareness of certain things. And then we get to more of that intuitive, but it would be awesome to be able to have somebody that works with like the confidence and the mindset and the self-love through the process of learning how nutrition affects their bodies and their brains and their, like, ultimately I just want to eat in a way that makes me feel my best. And sometimes that means like a cookie, and sometimes that means a glass of wine, and sometimes that means protein, whatever.
And not beating yourself up over it. That was a big thing that I teach too. Like, the point of eating this thing that you want, but you're telling your body and your mind and your soul and everything that it's toxic. As you consume that, your body is already putting off that it's toxic. Like, why would you put that in your body just because your body or your mind has told you that? So it's like, stop that. Like,
it's crazy. It's so much. But it's I think that's what's going to keep us on this journey of us doing what we do, because it is forever evolving and growing. There's just so much we can tackle. But I like hearing more about what you do, so that, because I do have some clients that I don't feel like maybe are ready to work with me as more on the physique realm until they worked with somebody, because we do the mindset along the way, but it like kind of like a mindset boot camp into working with the nutrition and learning their sensitivities and those kinds of things. So it just sounds like it would be a good.
It's kind of like how people who have therapists can also have a coach, because therapy works on the past, coaching works on where you're going in the future. So like, why not have both of those together? Yin and yang.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Jacqueline, stay on here because I want to tell you something after we're done. Okay. But thank you so much for being on here. I know I don't want to see who's been on here because someone said, oh my gosh, I love you all. So, and I can't see who it is.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to tell you.
I appreciate you because I am super authentic. Encouraging me to go on today, because I hear a way for us to build our strength is to push through. So like this morning, mega fear, huge fear, have not showered in 2 days, been crazy doing functional medicine learning. My daughter started virtual learning today, and just blah, blah. And then 15 minutes before I'm supposed to be on here, I was like, hey, can't wait to see you in 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my God. Like, what am I going to do here? But like you said, sometimes it's just about showing up. You don't have to be your best.
Those are the best ones.
Just show up. And that's what makes us stronger for the next time we feel a little like, oh, I got this, because I totally was dirty as all get out and I totally made it work. So I just appreciate that you could have easily said, oh no, let's reschedule. But you're like, yeah, can't still, nope, we could do it 10 minutes late. Come on over. Let's do that.
Let me see if I can still get her to do this, because I'm looking at my schedule and like, this is just, I don't know.
No, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much, because I needed that. And Brand's like, Jacqueline, part of being a lady leader is integrity. So you just got to show up. And I'm like, but I feel like this went really well, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for being on. And again, we'll send information below so you can us. So, all right. Love you, friends. Bye, guys.
Love you. Thank you.